Hey, what is up everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and in this video, I will be discussing the tragic life of Sasha Blouse. Someone who started out as just a comic relief character, but quickly turned into a fan favorite, not to mention a genuinely well-written and well-developed character, and so much more than just a potato meme. Sasha underwent some truly incredible character development, as I will argue in this video, and she left a powerful and lasting impact on the people closest to her. In fact, it was precisely this legacy that Sasha left behind that finally led to some real character progression for Attack on Titan's most hated character. So now, it's time to dedicate our hearts and talk about the life of our precious potato girl, Sasha. If you enjoyed the Attack on Titan videos right here on the channel and you want us to keep it coming, please leave a like and a comment. It only takes a moment, but it helps a lot. And if you're new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you just haven't subscribed yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Heads up, this video will contain spoilers for the Attack on Titan manga. Sasha's death has already been revealed in the anime, but I will be drawing on some material that hasn't been covered in the anime as of the making of this video, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. Sasha was, of course, a pivotal member of the Survey Corps who died in action during the attack on Liberio. The mission to attack Liberio itself was a massive strategic success, as the Survey Corps members managed to decimate the Marleyan forces, capture the Warhammer Titan, and take out many leaders of the Marleyan military, all in one fell swoop. But tragically, Sasha was shot and killed by Gabby Brown just as the Survey Corps members were preparing to leave Liberio on board an airship. Gabby and Falco managed to sneak aboard the airship, and Gabby shot Sasha before both her and Falco were subdued by the Survey Corps. In the aftermath of Sasha's death, both Falco and Gabby were captured and taken to Paradise as prisoners. My earliest memories of Sasha are of a funny and carefree girl who absolutely loves food. So much so that she is willing to risk severe punishment for just a single delicious potato. Sasha was always a special and extremely memorable character in Attack on Titan, precisely because she provides comic relief in an otherwise extremely bleak and cruel world. In fact, according to the Attack on Titan character encyclopedia, the creator of Attack on Titan, Hajime Isayama, apparently named Sasha after the comedian Sacha Baron Cohen. You know, that Borat guy. So Isayama always intended for Sasha to be a comic relief character, at least at first. But as the story progressed, Sasha's character became much more than just a meme. She became more complex, more interesting, and much more developed. Isayama initially wanted to kill Sasha off way back in volume 9 of the story, but his editor convinced him to change his mind. By that point, Sasha had become a fan favorite, and it was clear that her character had amazing potential. In terms of her backstory, Sasha grew up in a small village inside Wall Rose that was overwhelmed by newcomers after the fall of Wall Maria. Because the villagers relied on hunting to survive, their way of life was quickly turned upside down as the supply of wildlife could not support both the native villagers and the refugees from Wall Maria. Sasha was initially extremely upset by this, and she did not want to change her traditional way of life for the sake of accommodating the newcomers. In fact, Sasha got into an argument with her father after her father decided that helping people was more important than preserving their way of life. Sasha's father concluded that the villagers should switch focus from hunting to farming because farming was a more efficient way to feed more people. Sasha was so upset by her father's decision that she decided to leave the village and join the military. Once she does join the military, Sasha becomes a member of the 104th Training Corps. Sasha quickly became infamous for her appetite and her obsession with food, even in the most inappropriate situations. She becomes known as Potato Girl after she gets caught stealing a potato. When her instructor Keith Shaddis publicly questions her about the potato, she tries to bribe him by giving him half of the potato. And then the piece that she actually offers him is way less than half. Sasha's behavior during this otherwise incredibly tense situation is absolutely hilarious. And even Keith, who at this point is doing his best to look like a strict and stern instructor, is completely flabbergasted by Sasha's behavior, as are all of the other recruits. They just have no idea how to even react. I actually just rewatched this scene in preparation for this video, and it is just as funny as I remember it. Despite knowing exactly what was going to happen, when I rewatched it, I genuinely laughed out loud. It was that funny. So yes, initially, Sasha was a comic relief character who offered some much needed humor in an otherwise extremely dark story. Sasha was likable right away, but her character wasn't very complex at the beginning of the story. However, as the story goes on, Sasha continues to evolve and she eventually becomes an amazing character. Despite her goofiness and obsession with food, Sasha eventually becomes a top-class sharpshooter, and she ends up finishing 9th in her graduating class, which is actually extremely impressive when you consider who the other members of the 104th Training Corps were. Including Ymir, there are 5 Titan shifters and 1 Ackerman in that class, and yet Sasha was still in the top 10. But Sasha's character development really takes off when she risks her life to save a little girl named Kaya from a Titan. In chapter 36 of the manga and episode 27 of the anime, Sasha stumbles upon a gruesome scene. In a mostly abandoned village, she finds a small Titan who is in the process of eating a woman. The woman's young daughter is there as well, but she is completely paralyzed from the shock. Even though Sasha doesn't have her vertical maneuvering gear, she still decides to take on the Titan. First, she attacks him with an axe, and then later with a bow and arrow. Sasha ultimately manages to blind the Titan and save the little girl's life. The courage and determination that Sasha shows here just to save a complete stranger tells us everything we need to know about her character. The village that the little girl lived in was actually a new one, and it was located near Sasha's own village. This means that the people who live in this village are newcomers, the same people that Sasha was annoyed by earlier on in her life because they had interfered with her traditional way of life. And yet, by this point in the story, Sasha had already matured so much that she willingly risks her life and fights a Titan without the proper gear in order to save the life of one of these newcomers. That is how much Sasha had evolved as a person in such a short period of time, so it's no wonder that she quickly became a fan favorite character. During the attack on Liberio, Sasha again demonstrates her incredible skill as a sharpshooter. Her skills were instrumental in taking down Peak's Cart Titan, and she also played a key role in pacifying the other Marleyan forces in the area. At one point during the attack, Sasha actually had Gabby in her line of sight. But because Gabby was just a child, Sasha made the conscious decision not to shoot her. Even though she was a soldier in enemy territory, Sasha was not willing to kill a child. And that split-second decision ended up costing her her life. As we know, at the very end of the attack on Liberio, just as it looked like the Survey Corps members were about to successfully escape aboard the airship, Gabby manages to climb up onto the airship and she shoots Sasha with a rifle. Sasha eventually succumbs to her wounds, and Gabby and Falco are apprehended and taken to Paradise Island. Sasha's death was truly tragic, especially since it happened just as it looked like the mission was over and all of our favorite characters had made it out in one piece. But as tragic as Sasha's death was, this was not the end of Sasha's story. The lasting legacy that she leaves behind, and her impact on the lives of 2 people in particular, continues to speak to the beauty of her character. The 2 people that I'm referring to are Kaya and Niccolo. I already mentioned Kaya, the girl whose life Sasha had saved, and as it turns out, Kaya returns to the story after Gabby and Falco are taken to Paradise. During their stay on Paradise, Gabby and Falco manage to escape their captivity, and while on the run, they eventually meet Kaya. Kaya doesn't know who the 2 of them are, but she overhears them talking about being from Marley. Now, even though they are technically the citizens of an enemy nation, Kaya decides to help Gabby and Falco, and she actually helps to hide their identities so that they wouldn't be apprehended by the authorities on Paradise. Even though this is extremely risky for Kaya, she believes that helping Gabby and Falco is the right thing to do. And so she is willing to put her own safety and maybe even her own life on the line in order to help two strangers from an enemy nation. One of the main reasons why Kaya is so willing to help others, including complete strangers, is her love for Sasha. After Kaya was rescued by Sasha, she was raised by Sasha's family as one of her own, and she came to see Sasha as an older sister. She also began looking up to Sasha, and she wanted to become just like her. Since Sasha was willing to risk her own life to save Kaya back when Kaya was a complete stranger to her, Kaya believed that she also had a duty to help others no matter who they are, and this includes Gabby and Falco. Now, Kaya obviously did not know that Gabby was the one who killed Sasha when she decided to help her and Falco. And when she does find out that this is the case, Kaya is furious at Gabby, which is perfectly understandable. However, Kaya's kind treatment of Gabby and Falco before she knew what Gabby had done is what finally begins to open Gabby's eyes. Slowly but surely, Gabby finally comes to understand that the people on Paradise are not all bad. And as it turns out, she had been lied to her whole life about these so-called island devils. Thanks to Kaya and the rest of Sasha's family, Gabby finally undergoes the character development that she had desperately been lacking, and ironically, it is all thanks to Sasha, the person that Gabby had killed. The other person that I want to talk about here is Niccolo. Niccolo is an ethnic Marleyan who was captured by the forces on Paradise after a Marleyan survey ship was seized by Eren during the time skip. Even though he was an enemy captive on the island, Niccolo was treated with kindness by Sasha, and she absolutely loved his cooking. As a matter of fact, Niccolo seems to have developed a close relationship with Sasha, and his interactions with her completely changed his mind about the so-called island devils. Niccolo also became close with Sasha's family, and Kaya believed that Niccolo and Sasha were in love. When she finds out about this, Gabby is shocked at the very thought that a Marleyan and an Eldian could be in love. But it's true. Even though she was technically an enemy soldier going off to attack his own homeland, Niccolo was absolutely devastated when he learned that Sasha had died during the attack on Liberio. And when Niccolo finds out that Gabby was the one who killed Sasha, Niccolo attacks her and he hands Sasha's father a knife, offering him the chance to kill his daughter's assassin. He also says to Sasha's father that if he won't kill Gabby, then Niccolo himself will do it. That's right, an ethnic Marleyan and a member of the Marleyan military cared so much about Sasha, this so-called island devil, that he was willing to kill Gabby, an honorary Marleyan and warrior cadet in the Marleyan military, just to avenge Sasha. Luckily for Gabby, Sasha's parents are extremely good and kind people, and they ultimately refused to kill Gabby even if she was the one who killed their daughter. But the words that Niccolo says to Gabby during this confrontation have really stuck with me. When he realizes that Falco is clearly important to Gabby, Niccolo says the following: "I had someone important to me once, too. That's right, an Eldian, a descendant of devils. But she enjoyed my food more than anyone I'd met before. She saved me from this stupid, worthless war. She showed me who I was meant to be, someone who brings people happiness through his food. That was Sasha Blouse, the woman whose life you took." Wow. That is what I meant when I said earlier on in this video that Sasha's story did not end with her death. Her legacy lived on, and it continues to shape the story after Sasha's passing. After this intense standoff with Niccolo and Sasha's family, Gabby finally changes her way of thinking. She finally develops as a character, and she realizes that the Islanders are not evil devils. They are regular people just like everyone else, and some of them are kinder and more compassionate than Gabby herself was ever willing to be. But none of that development could have been possible without Sasha. I know that a lot of people wanted Gabby to pay for what she had done to Sasha right away. They wanted her to be punished, to be killed right there on the airship as soon as Sasha died. But If that had happened, if Gabby had died before meeting Sasha's family and Niccolo, she would have died believing that what she did was the right thing. She would have died believing that Sasha was some evil island devil who deserved to die. But because Gabby lived, she lived long enough to regret what she had done. She lived long enough to understand who Sasha really was and how wrong Gabby had been about the Eldians on Paradise Island. As tragic and heartbreaking as Sasha's death was, her life was actually amazing and beautiful, and while she was here, she was a breath of fresh air in a dark and cruel world. She left a lasting impact that will continue to shape the lives and decisions of the people who were close to her. People like Kaya and Niccolo. And in fact, Sasha's powerful legacy ultimately destroyed the bigotry and prejudice of her own assassin. How absolutely poetic is that? Sasha's legacy transformed Gabby, her own assassin, as a person. And I am sure that this is exactly what Sasha would have wanted. She wouldn't have wanted some sort of violent revenge. She would have wanted Gabby to understand the truth. She would have wanted Gabby to free herself from the lies and propaganda that had poisoned her for her entire life. And precisely because Sasha left such a lasting impact on Kaya and Niccolo and on everyone else around her, in the end, that is exactly what happened. Sasha may have started out as a meme character, but eventually, our potato girl became so much more, and her legacy will never die. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you did enjoy it, please leave a like to let me know. It really does help. Also, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you just haven't subscribed yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You really have to go through the trouble of hitting that bell and then selecting the option that says all. I know it's annoying, it's an extra step, but if you don't do that, you're still gonna miss a ton of our videos even if you are subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. You could also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. A big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Alpha Sigma, disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, The World, Acquired Respect, Pate Heffa, Liam Thompson, Aljatal, Dr. Courtman, Johnny Boy Draws, Emperor Otaku, Spidey Life Tanel, Baked Buddhist, and Tungsten Tarkus. Finally, thank you to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Steelers, Angel Cruz, Anatoly Kazatsky, Joe Stanton, Very Gucci, Jessica K. LaFond, Rathuin Deora, Alicia Octor, Bonnie Parks, Hinokami and Water, The Red-Haired Raven, Joanne Garcia, Jack Watches Anime, Fatboy Games, Deadly Saint, Matthew Cruz, and Anthony Schreiber. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value to you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!